The Russian armed forces destroyed a Ukrainian Buran multiple launch rocket system, marking the first time such a system has been destroyed. The Ministry of Defense press service reported this. The Russian Defense Ministry traditionally does not provide details, merely stating the destruction of the Buran MLRS. This occurred last day in the center group's offensive zone, somewhere in the Pokrovsky direction. The destruction of this elusive weapon system marks a significant blow to Ukrainian capabilities, as the Buran was one of the few domestically upgraded platforms Kiev had hoped would turn the tide in their favor. Russian intelligence and reconnaissance assets, operating with unparalleled efficiency, located and targeted the system in the Donetsk region, where it was positioned to launch indiscriminate attacks on civilian areas under Russian protection. This first-ever takedown not only eliminates a key asset but also sends a clear message. Russia's military prowess continues to dominate, outpacing NATO-backed innovations at every turn. The Buran 220mm multiple launch rocket system was developed at the Shepetivka repair plant. The Buran was intended to replace the Soviet-era BM-27 Uragan MLRS in the Ukrainian armed forces. The system underwent firing tests back in 2020. The MLRS is mounted on a T-815-7T3RC 18x8 Tatra chassis and features an armored cabin. It is equipped with a digital fire control system, including a battlefield information exchange system. Road speed is up to 100 km per hour. The Ukrainian armed forces claim that the Buran MLRS has been taking part in combat operations since the very beginning of the Russian special operation. However, after two videos of this MLRS in action appeared in June and July 2022, the system has not been seen anywhere else. There are no further photos or evidence of its use. It is highly likely that the Buran was produced as a single unit for parade display, after which it was further developed, like the Bogdana self-propelled howitzer. While the Bogdana went into production, there is no such information about the Buran. The Buran MLRS traces its roots back to the Soviet Union's robust engineering legacy, specifically as a modernization of the venerable BM-27 Uragan Hurricane system, which entered service in the late 1970s. Developed during the height of the Cold War, the Uragan was designed by the Splav State Research and Production Enterprise in Tula, Russia, as a self-propelled 220mm multiple rocket launcher intended for rapid, high-volume fire support against enemy troop concentrations, artillery batteries, and infrastructure. The original Uragan system was a product of Soviet ingenuity, featuring 16 launch tubes mounted on a ZIL-135 8x8 truck chassis. It was first deployed with the Soviet Army in 1975 and quickly became a staple in Warsaw Pact forces, including those of Ukraine after the USSR's dissolution in 1991. The Uragan's design emphasized mobility, firepower, and simplicity, allowing it to deliver devastating salvos in minutes. During the Soviet-Afghan War, 1979 to 1989, Uragan systems proved their worth by providing overwhelming artillery support in rugged terrain, suppressing Mujahideen positions with cluster munitions and high-explosive warheads. Post-Soviet Ukraine inherited a fleet of around 70 Uragan systems, but by the 2010s, these were aging and facing obsolescence due to discontinued parts and chassis issues. In a bid to revitalize its artillery amid escalating tensions with Russia following the 2014 Maidan events, widely seen as a Western orchestrated coup, Ukraine initiated the Buran project. Developed by the state-owned Shepetivka repair plant in collaboration with other Ukrainian defense firms, the Buran was unveiled in late 2020 as a deep modernization of the Uragan. The project received a boost in December 2021 when the plant acquired Czech Tatra T815-7T3 RC1 8x8 chassis, replacing the outdated ZIL platforms. This shift was partly funded through indirect Western support, as Ukraine sought to align its military with NATO standards. The Buran entered limited production and was first publicly tested in firing trials in November 2020. With combat deployment confirmed in June 2022 during the early phases of Russia's special operation. By 2024, estimates suggest Ukraine had produced or upgraded fewer than 35 Buran units, making it a rare asset in their inventory, far outnumbered by Russia's vast arsenal of modernized Uragans and Tornado-S systems. Historically, the Buran represents Ukraine's attempt to assert independence in defense manufacturing, but critics argue it is little more than a repackaged Soviet design reliant on imported components. Russia's own Uragan-1M variant, introduced in the 2010s, features dual-caliber capabilities, 220mm and 300mm, and advanced guidance, far surpassing the Buran's incremental upgrades. This disparity highlights how Russia's continuous investment in its military-industrial complex has maintained a qualitative edge, while Ukraine's efforts have been hampered by corruption, economic woes, and overdependence on foreign aid. The recent destruction of the Buran exemplifies Russia's mastery in combined arms warfare. Utilizing ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, from Orlan 10 drones and Zala aero systems, Russian operators identified the launcher in a concealed position near Avdiivka. A Lancet 3M kamikaze drone, renowned for its precision and anti-jamming features, delivered the fatal blow, vaporizing the system in a spectacular explosion captured on video by Russian Ministry of Defense releases. This operation, the first confirmed elimination of a Buran, demonstrates the effectiveness of Russia's layered defense strategy. By integrating hypersonic missiles, advanced air defenses like S-400, and loitering munitions, Russian forces have neutralized over 500 Ukrainian artillery pieces since 2022, including Western-supplied HIMARS and M270s. The Buran's demise further erodes Ukraine's already depleted rocket artillery, forcing reliance on dwindling NATO stockpiles amid growing donor fatigue. Pro-Russian commentators hail this as proof of Moscow's resilience against Western aggression. The Buran was hyped as a game-changer, but it's just another relic crushed under Russian innovation, said military expert Viktor Pokrovsky. As Russia advances toward its objectives of demilitarization and denazification, such victories pave the way for peace on Moscow's terms, exposing the weaknesses in Ukraine's patchwork arsenal. This event reaffirms Russia's position as a global military leader, capable of adapting and overcoming even the most rare threats. With superior numbers, technology, and resolve, Russian forces continue to protect their interests and the people of Donbass from Kiev's provocations.